at any given point. The way I look at it is not dissimilar to how if someone was a gang member, for example, at a certain point, a victim of their social conditions, that they end up a victim of their material conditions, that they end up doing crimes, for example, but then they serve out their prison sentence and they come out and they are rehabilitated in spite of all odds being stacked against them. Okay? And having said that, of course, I'm not even making the comparison between someone who is engaged in criminal actions versus someone who is actually served, especially because the broad reception of American society and the broad reception of society in general is not overwhelmingly negative for people who are veterans. You think that because you understand the output of the American military. You understand that it's in many circumstances heinous things that American veterans are engaging in, okay? But you can't put yourself in the shoes of someone who, for one reason or a million others, have found themselves on this journey personally. And as long as they are demonstrating atonement, as long as they have individually come to the conclusion that that was horrible and wrong, not saying that Grant Plattner is doing this for the record, but as long as someone is doing that, I will always be open-minded. There are many examples of this. Greg Stoker is a great example of this. He is a veteran, okay? He is a veteran who also saw active duty and was participating alongside many other American veterans on the fucking global Samud flotilla. You have done nothing, right? You've done nothing. You were fortunate enough to not find yourself, for one reason or another, being duped by the predatory structure that already exists for recruitment into the American military, and now you are just simply posturing with your moral superiority, and that's fine. But that doesn't make up a broad movement. Anyway, that was probably the last thing I wanted to say about this person before banning them, because it's very clear that they don't want to actually understand my position whatsoever and simply want to argue. So go ahead. You can now tweet on Twitter about how I am not a true anti-imperialist. I've betrayed the revolutionary cause. You and your 5 other reading group Maoists are going to actually foment the revolutionary sentiment amongst the American working class by talking about how American veterans who are proud of their service are worse than rapists. I think that's a good starting point, I think. You're going to do it. And of course, the revolution will come at the point of the barrel of a gun, which many of you are agoraphobic, and you also don't want to work with veterans either. So good luck on that side. I'm sure you'll be able to figure out how to fucking point a gun at someone eventually.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know about the Red Army, dude. Some of these guys actually were in the Tsarist brigades. They might have actually played a formative role in pogroms, as a matter of fact. Don't know if we can have those guys on our side. Trotsky, what are you doing? Why would you let into the Red Army a bunch of people with horrible backgrounds, as a matter of fact?
Oh! Oh my gosh, jeez.
And it's weird the left is like them without...
My
Wait,
goodness, I hope somebody saw that. My God, got all over.
Brace joined the international call of arms to go fight alongside YPG in Syria.
Oh boy.
Was probably trained at a certain point by the CIA as well, because the CIA was training in Rojava. Having said that, he's not like an American military veteran. Chelsea Manning, on the other hand, was an American military veteran, is an American military veteran. I don't know if you've always been this way, but I truly appreciate your ground it takes lately. I've always been this way! That's why I fucking get so annoyed at my stupid fucking haters. I fundamentally start off with a sense of understanding that everyone, to a certain degree, is victim to their own material circumstances, of their own environment, of the social conditioning that they are captured by. And therefore, I am much more open-minded about people who have done things in the past that are unsavory or even fucked up or even bad. This is why I'm an advocate for criminal justice reform as well. This is why I'm an advocate for people that can be rehabilitated. This isn't even about Graham Plattner, for the record. I just want to make sure that people understand that. This is not about Graham Plattner, okay? But I don't like it when people take this hardline stance against, like, all American veterans are baby killers or some shit like that. It's not only poisonous for building a mass movement, but it's also it's just inconsistent with how human beings operate. And yes, people will go, oh, what about the IDF? But they don't even realize that, like, I have relied on a fuck ton of former IDF veterans, whether it be information coming from them breaking the silence, even though they are a little too liberal Zionist for my takes, and not only that, but also I've had anti-Zionist Jews in Israel that were in the IDF at a certain point. Well, that's the problem. Yeah, it's a problem for you. I ain't no hater. I just think you're capable of better judgment. Spending years of Blackwater Merc isn't the same as being a war veteran. No, I know that. That's why I'm making it distinguish. I'm distinguishing between Graham Plattner, who I'm not defending at all, versus the notion that a lot of leftists have, which is, automatically, like, you're, if you have ever served, you're fucking an asshole that deserves to be punished criminally. Okay? That's why I said the Blackwater stuff is, like, totally on a separate category. Having said all of this, even after all is said and done, he might still fucking pull this through. Yeah. What are the limits on reform and acceptability? Just curious. What about IDF soldiers who actually killed innocent children? What if Netanyahu or Ben-Gvir came out tomorrow and said he regrets what he did? Is he forgiven? Just curious what your limits are. Are you actually curious about what my limits are, or are you trying to fucking present an unimaginably insane hypothetical? Like, yeah, dude, Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir are going to come out tomorrow and be like, we're anti-Zionist. Thank you for a very realistic alternative. Oh, I'm just testing the limits of your moral I'm just testing your moral system's boundaries. Is the sneaky way that debate pedophiles and debate perverts like to fucking bring up an incredibly irrational argument. You're not testing anything, okay? You're not. You're trying to trap me into a ridiculous position by bringing up an example that is so fucking stupid. You know who else does this? People who love Israel do this all the fucking time. For example, this is like when people who defend Israel will be like, well, we killed a baby, but what if the baby had a gun? What if the Palestinian child had a gun in his hands? Okay, what if the Palestinian child had the nuclear launch codes and was able to figure out where the Israeli nuclear facilities are and was about to fucking press the button? Like, it's just ridiculous. There is a limit to the hypothetical arguments that you can present. You can't literally fucking look at a situation and be like, well, what if Adolf Hitler was reformed before they fucking killed themselves? Lol, answer their question. You're being unreasonable. Oh my God, it's so fucking stupid. Because, of course, if Adolf Hitler at the last moment
Thank you
was
to
like,
everybody who said it
hate
looks good.
Nazism, that's not,
And hi.
That's a very different. It's a cynical approach. I do not think that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to ever entertain an alternative vision. That's number one. And number two, I already gave you what my limitations are, or I already told you what is like an understandable boundary. Avi Shlaim was an IDF vet. Okay, we rely on his work quite a bit on this broadcast. Itamar Ben-Gvir, fuck. Ofer Kasif served in the IDF as well. Then he became a conscientious objector. Then he actually became a prominent anti-Zionist within the Israeli Knesset. You obviously didn't have an issue with me interviewing him here and now. So clearly, there are people who have the capacity to reform from their previous positions. Okay? Itamar Ben-Gvir, by this design, by the way, didn't even serve in the IDF, so I guess he's infallible. He doesn't have that stain on his reputation because he was considered too fucking racist to serve in the IDF at the time. Navy vet here. I did not kill anybody, did not serve in any combat. Being in the military was part of my radicalization. Regardless, I'm now a member of and an organizer for the PFL. Not all vets are monsters. Some are, sure. But excluding those of us that are now anti-imperialist and socialist and insane. Listen, brother, I know, okay? And it's not just you. There are people who are active duty as well, who were or who did tour, who did serve, who might have even been a part of operations where like innocent civilians were killed. And they carry that weight around, and they actually do turn around and in spite of society telling them what they did was totally awesome and, you know, respect your service or whatever, still realize that that shit was fucked up. Obviously, this is not Blackwater, for the record. This is not Blackwater at all. I'm not talking about Blackwater. I need to, I guess, repeat that over and over again, that I'm not talking about Grand Padre here. This is a much larger point of contention amongst the left. But if you think I was always going to be the type of person, if you think that I was always going to be the type of person that just is like a lol troop explorer style leftist, like, you're wrong. Anyway, we're done with the fucking Plattner opposition stuff until it comes out, and then we'll go through it. But speaking of which, we have Zoran on Flagrant Podcasts. So there's that. We covered this. We covered the Muslims against Zoran thing. That was really funny. Oh, this was a funny Grant Plattner moment, though. They asked Mainers what they think. Here's what they say. Note that these are Jewish Mainers. The progressive voters in Maine are feeling similarly torn, though the ones I've spoken to are still tentatively supporting Plattner. Oh, fuck, I just looked it up. One enthusiastic 30-something Plattner supporter told me Tuesday. He would still vote for Plattner if the election happened tomorrow, he says. But the news is disappointing nonetheless. A progressive canvasser knocking doors in South Portland named Willow Cunningham tells me they doubt Plattner is a crypto-Nazi. Boru O'Brien O'Connell, owner of the Portland Gallery Dunes, agrees. I'm a voter who wants to not fund genocide and to have universal health care, he says. That matters more to me than some old Reddit post and a tattoo. Maine is small. O'Connell put me in touch with a childhood friend, Jesse Einhorn, whose parents turn out to know Plattners. He wants to speak with people who know Graham personally before making any decisions. I'm keeping my mind open, though, because I think that none of it is objectively disqualifying, Einhorn says. That's crazy. First of all, didn't even know that there were Jews in Maine. Okay? My mistake. Did not know. My mistake. Turns out there are Jewish people that live in Maine. Okay? Did not know that. That's wild in and of itself. Number two. Number two. Okay, that's a joke, chatters. I'm joking. I'm sure there's like 10. Bro, we're all in all 50 states. What do you mean? I know that, Megaphonics. I am joking. Okay? Number two. It's crazier that they're just like, yeah, who cares? Because I'm not Jewish. And for me, I'm like, the totem cough is pretty fucking irredeemable. You know what I mean? Like, that's just... but they seem to not care, it seems. They're like, no, I need to know the real... Hassan, you literally thought they did the switcheroo like with museums? Be honest. I stand by my position that if the Louvre Museum actually switcherooed and put dupes up, we wouldn't be talking about how many fucking famous artifacts were stolen yesterday. So who's right and who's wrong? Okay? I think that's my most valid position. Sure, it's stupid. Sure. It's stupid. But is it really that stupid? I am doubling down on the dupes method. Okay? I am doubling down on the dupe method. It's untested, seemingly, but in the future, you will see that I was right. It's just... Stop it. Stop it. You know, it sounds stupid because a lot of you are fucking nerds. But did you, like, really think for a moment? Really think. Wouldn't it be more reasonable to put dupes? Like, if this is like a one-to-one and can't... If this is a one-to-one and can't be replaced at all, Yeah, they calling you a lot of things, but they ain't calling you a liar. That's right. This theory would make for the most heartbreaking plot twist of Ocean's 11. Museums have fossil replicas, so you're not completely off base. I mean, that one makes a lot more sense, though, because, like, you have to preserve the fossils, right? But I also thought you had to preserve, like, works of art as well. And, like, putting them in an environment where they have to, like, see sunlight would probably, like, over time destroy them, which is also the reason why I thought that they had dupes. Aside from the fact that, you know, someone can just, like, take a hammer to it and steal it, apparently. I love how you're seething since you lost your background prop. I don't even know what I assume you're talking about Kaya. Yeah, I'm seething. I was seething in, if you go back for the past, like, 2 years of broadcast, you will go back and see on numerous occasions Kaya not standing behind me, and I'm seething just as hard. You lost her? Yeah, I lost her to my mom, who's here, and she's hanging out with her instead. I can't believe people are still on this. Anyway, dupes make sense. Okay, I think none of it is objectively disqualifying. Einhorn says, and look, I'm Jewish, so I'm kind of hypersensitive to all these things. He's on the same page as his father, David Einhorn, a retired lawyer who practiced in Ellsworth and used to play tennis with Plattner's father. I think a lot of people would not recognize skull and crossbones associated with the Nazis. The elder Einhorn is a tattoo. I don't think it's significant. Below, Plattner describes how he covered up the tattoo, his thoughts on where the opera research against him is coming from, and what he'd rather be talking about instead. God damn. Oh, so this is the only good question, okay, about Graham Plattner's service, and it won't even matter for Mainers in general, but it does matter to me, and it does matter to people in this community as well. But that is unironically the major distinction, okay? That's the major distinction between someone who's just simply saying, oh, we got to stop these wars because they're too costly, and also they end up hurting big, beautiful American men and women that go get deployed and die, versus the victims, which are far larger in number, right? That is the real question, which is what I wanted to ask him. But I don't suspect that I am going to be able to have the opportunity to ask him that, considering that he is all over the place right now.
I just stick this in the tube and then twirl it around.
It's just in new plastic.
And then this is what I
9/11 was the greatest thing ever.
on the canvas.
Chat about leftist theory. Yeah.
To make cloud.
Well, bro, I don't want to dig that up again, but that was literally the whole point that they were talking about. No, that's not the point that they were talking about. They were making the assertion that he does not care about that at all. Okay? There's a difference. Anyway, where were we? We did all of this. We did all of this. That was crazy. Wait, where the fuck is the... Okay, well... I've lost my, Oh, I wanted to talk about this. And yeah, I lost the playlist. Thank you, Themasius. So, the New York City mayor debate is going to start. There's a seniors for Zoran bingo night taking place. Street vendors were targeted in ice raids in New York City's Canal Street. Obviously, that's going to be talked about tonight at the debate.
Oh, shit, that is tonight.
I'll get into
Fuck
that in a second. But before I do that, I wanted to bring up a bold and brave patriotic American. As leftists, we don't care about their identity politics of just having a specific tattoo, but nothing about Plattner's inspired confidence, even from a reformist perspective. Okay. Let's move on, please. Is Hassan still going in circles about Plattner, or the disingenuous shadows gone? No, they're not gone. They're still in here. We're going to talk about a brave American patriot, Rand Paul, who seemingly made one of the most convincing arguments against the brutal anti-drug trafficking attacks against fishermen off the coastline of Venezuela and Colombia that I've heard from an American congressperson, as a matter of fact. It turns out there are congresspersons who are anti-war. Let's take a look.
Number one, there is no fentanyl made in Venezuela. Not just a little bit, there's none being made in Venezuela. These are outboard boats that, in order for them to get to Miami, would have to stop and refuel 20 times. They're in all likely going to Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island right off of the coast of Venezuela. So there's a lot of reasons to be worried about this. But number one is the...
Yeah. Also, NPR and numerous other journalists have actually interviewed some of the family members of the victims of unrestrained American violence in the region, including the Trini fishermen. And their family members literally said, oh, one of the biggest concerns right now is that there is a back and forth connection between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, where people actually bring supplies back and forth. And you can, from drone footage, that looks like you have a bunch of packages on your boat. And now we can't even bring supplies back and forth on these fucking fast boats because they'll justify it. They'll take a photo of it. They'll destroy it. They'll destroy the boat, kill the fishermen, or kill the people who are trading supplies and whatnot. And then they'll say it's drugs.
Broader principle of when can you kill people indiscriminately? When you're at war. That's why when we declare war, it's supposed to be done by Congress. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be debated. And we're not supposed to do it willy-nilly. And then when you have war, you just kill people in the war zone.
Why is he attacking Trump? Does he think he can attract Dems to his dumbass libertarian agenda? No. Not everything that some politicians engage in is cynical. I need you to understand something. There are some kooky-ass politicians, and they've always existed in American Congress. He's one of them. He is exactly the kind of guy who goes, no spending bills. He will not vote for a spending bill because he's like, I fundamentally don't believe that the American government should engage in any expenditures. Okay? He's fucking insane. And luckily, as an insane guy who is a real and committed believer in the anti-war stuff as a libertarian, this is one of the few instances, one of the few unique moments where, like, he will actually just be like, no, I have this principle stance. It's a bit like Thomas Massey, right? Thomas Massey is a monster on every other issue. And yet when it comes to Israel, Thomas Massey's like, no, dog, they're doing a genocide. No weapons for genocide. That's it. Thomas Massey is so kooky and so crazy. He was one of the Republican politicians that was yelled at for a while because he had those Christmas cards where him and his entire family had fucking like M60 automatic machine guns that they were holding up for Christmas cards, okay? They're insane. These guys are insane, but even insane people sometimes can be principled. And of course, because by and large, American politicians are so unprincipled that we look at a guy who's crazy, but then also principled on this issue, and we go, what's the sinister reason behind this? Nope, he is just that guy, okay? It's a broken clock style situation. In the tax world, Rand Paul refuses to sign any income tax treaty. But I will admit that I have a soft spot, not even for like Rand Paul in general, but like I do have a soft spot for the kooks and the crazies, because kooks and the crazies who are principled when it comes to like anti-war and stuff, or anti-intervention, or there throughout American history, you've had like congresspersons who are a little wild, but have hyper focused on like our domestic espionage activities, for example, right? Like they are the ones who have famously set up committees and have actively gone after shit like this. Okay, that's the reason why Cato Institute, which is insane when it comes to everything else, because they're a libertarian think tank, is one of the most reliable resources for pro-immigration arguments, because they are open borders libertarians, and they do actually dive into the data and conduct studies on, for example, one of the most famous ones that I use all the time is the crime study conducted on non-citizens, undocumented non-citizens and their proclivity towards crime versus documented non-citizens and their proclivity towards crime versus U.S.-born American citizens and their proclivity towards crime. That is a Cato Institute study. This guy said there are open border libertarians. Damn, brother. Libertarians back in the day, before Trump, were anti-cop, pro-drug abolition, and open borders, for open borders. Libertarians, for the longest time, used to be the jokingly referred to as the pot-smoking Republicans.
Cool.
Okay? That is what they are supposed to be, and some of which are so fucking crazy that they would sincerely argue at the Libertarian Libertarian Party's elections. They would sincerely argue against like licenses, driver's licenses. Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? Driver's licenses. Libertarians also used to be anti-surveillance state. Donald Trump obviously took a lot of that, took a lot of the motion off of libertarians and made them all loyal servants of the police state. But yeah, here, if you want to get a little taste, here is Gary Johnson supporting and going up against someone who I've debated as well, Larry Elder, and getting booed at the libertarian debate for supporting driver's licenses. That's real.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
What? What the fuck kind of argument is that?
License to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
What?
Is this a SNL skit? No. SNL could never be this funny organically. This is just the libertarian debate, the Libertarian Party presidential debate. I didn't even get to the consistent principle that libertarians also hold on to when it comes to age of consent. I didn't want to shit on them too hard, but you know, I think we all know. I think we all know. Anyway, but yeah, if you're confused by why Rand Paul is saying this, make no mistake, he is anti-interventionist.
And even then, there are rules of engagement. But interdicting drugs has always been a criminal activity and a criminal anti-crime sort of activity where we don't just summarily execute people. We actually present evidence and convict them.
Yeah. And this person asks a wonderful question. Have any Democrats made such a clear case against attacking Venezuela? The answer is fuck no, which is crazy. I know that we are having a hard time dealing with the multifaceted, multiple front war that Donald Trump is engaging in, okay? whether it be foreign policy such as continuing the genocide in Israel, or whether it be the foreign policy of like going back and forth on what must be done in Ukraine, okay? Or whether it be blowing up random fishermen boats off the coast of Venezuela as he entertains going to war with Venezuela. Hot war, real war. And yet, Democrats are silent on this. As Trump openly plots regime change in Venezuela, the top Dems' response ranges from silence to half-hearted opposition. It's fucking crazy. Like, there are so many opportunities for the Dems to just make up fuss. There are so many opportunities for the Democrats to make a fuss about $40 billion being fucking sent to Argentina so that we can bail out not only Argentina, but also bail out one of Scott Bessent's friends who bought too much Argentinian debt. Okay? Meanwhile, Trump is talking about cutting spending on pre-allocated infrastructure programs in blue states and in blue cities. What the fuck are we doing? All the while, he is trying to deploy the military into blue states and blue cities. All the while, he's trying to fucking foment some kind of race war. All the while, he is sicking ICE, an unaccountable federal law enforcement apparatus, on unsuspecting migrants and also citizens alike. And they're shooting people and they're killing people. And the guys are getting their fucking notes from random content creators online, by the way. Street vendors were targeted in ICE raids on New York City's Canal Street. This happened yesterday. Lo and behold, this happened because a random dipshit right-wing commentator on Twitter was like, there are illegals on Canal Street. Where is ICE? Took one day for ICE to go in and brutalize a bunch of people.
Homeland Security vehicles and armed agents. A massive federal operation unfolds on Canal Street.
None of this is about public safety. It is about fear and chaos.
Street vendors targeted and detained, protesters marching behind ICE agents as tensions escalate. Tonight, the federal raid on Canal Street. Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson. The Department of Homeland Security says this operation targeted illegal vendors. Dozens of agents took over Canal Street, questioning vendors and taking some into custody. Many New Yorkers who witnessed it started demonstrating against the sweep, and later buyers and sellers.
Like, why? Why can't people just do this? Like, who is this? Like, this is a classic case of like, I consent. Hold up, I don't consent, right? New Yorkers don't have an issue by and large with Canal Street, right? Is famous for dupes, not to use the same term I was using earlier. Like, NYPD doesn't give a shit. New Yorkers don't give a shit. Tourists go and they buy like fake shit there. They buy dupes there. It's just like a known place, right? And it's been around for decades and left uninterrupted. Why the fuck would you do this? It's so crazy. That's a lie. It's not made for self-preservation. It's completely made up. Wait, what? Yeah, it's a tourist attraction. There are stores that are designed around Canal Street as a location. It's just so fucking crazy that outsiders have decided that this thing, that virtually all fucking New Yorkers don't have an issue with at all, is actually bad now. It's so fucking annoying.
all but vanished from a typically bustling area. We have team coverage here tonight. Alicia Reed has more on how vendors are reacting. Let's begin with Naveen Dhaliwal and the latest on how this all went down.
What began as a planned enforcement action by federal agents erupted into chaos on Canal Street Tuesday afternoon. A scene of shouting and pushing as crowds yelled at ICE agents.
You should be disgusted with yourself.
The Department of Homeland Security says the federal raid was focused on cracking down on the sale of counterfeit goods involving agents from ICE, FBI, and ATF. It's unclear how many vendors.
Yeah, they don't have enough. They don't have enough, like, what do you call it? They don't even have enough troops to be able to do this with ICE. So they have to bring in other federal law enforcement agencies all the goddamn time. And it's crazy because it's like, you might be asking yourself, like, why the fuck is the ATF doing this? Like, they don't have guns. It's not. It has nothing to do with guns. It's because Donald Trump is so singularly invested in this white nativist, anti-immigration, mass deportation scheme that the administration has literally reallocated federal law enforcement away from the crimes that they are normally supposed to be investigating to just this, interior deportations, interior removals. It's fucking insane. The ATF definitely has guns. No, I'm saying these guys that are selling dupes on Canal Street don't have fucking law enforcement violations. The ATF is supposed to be tasked with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's what the A and the T and the F stands for. They're not there for that reason. They're there simply to assist in the mass apprehension of migrants that they suspect of being undocumented. Just like the FBI has no business doing interior removals. But the reasons why they're doing that is because ICE doesn't have enough. ICE does not have enough members that are trained to be able to do these mass apprehensions. So the Trump administration has restructured all of the fucking federal law enforcement agencies to focus on this instead of whatever kind of crimes that they were tasked with focusing on. And in some instances, that's literally like sex trafficking, right? Like that's drug trafficking for DEA, sex trafficking, different types of interstate crimes, gang violence, things of that nature, hate crimes. All of these things that the FBI is tasked with normally dealing with and investigating, they are too busy. Instead, they're too busy doing this shit. So yes, this unironically has the opposite of the intended effect. The intended effect is we're stopping the most significant, the most heinous version of crime, which is caused by undocumented migrants. Ironically enough, it literally stops the active investigation of crimes. It makes America less safe. It makes America less safe because do you feel fucking safe when you see masked armed agents of the fucking state kidnapping people that haven't done anything wrong? It doesn't make you feel safe. It doesn't make me feel safe. But it also makes America less safe because they're not even investigating the actual things. The most redeemable aspect of federal law enforcement is these actual investigations into federal crimes, okay?
Were detained, but DHS says at least one protester was arrested for allegedly assaulting a federal officer. And in a statement saying in part,
yeah, look, nearly half of FBI agents and major offices reassigned to immigration enforcement, dude. How are we making America more safe? Data shows stunning shift in law enforcement priorities that has raised public safety concerns.
Oh, yeah.
Nearly half of FBI agents and major offices have been reassigned to immigration enforcement, dude. Yeah. Child rapists could just do whatever the fuck they want now. Yeah, if you're an art thief, if if you are a French style, Pink Panther style, Arsène Lupin style art thief, this is your opportunity to shine, okay? There is perhaps no better time to be robbing a bank or
I'm going to stop
robbing a
this
fucking
because I think
museum
I'm
a
done for
cultural
now
artifact.
with this. So
Then this very moment, when all of the federal law enforcement agencies are tasked with like apprehending random
I
Guatemalan
start another
people,
one now.